This is the Earth Science Classroom. This video is on global locations of BIFs, which is the Banded Iron Formation. This kind of formation is unique because it only formed during a certain time of Earth's history, around 2.8 or 3 billion years ago, up to about 1.8, and then some newer formations around the 1.5, 1.2 billion years ago. But it happened because the ancient oceans only contained very little oxygen, if any. And during this time, oxygen was added as a byproduct from these microbes, cyanobacteria, and the chemical reactions occurred in the oceans between the oxygen and the iron to create iron oxides, and that deposited and precipitated on the ocean floor as these layers of iron-rich rock, or sedimentary rock. So the locations are kind of cool now. Currently, there are about 917 iron ore mines. Now, iron ore is extracted from these formations, both in hematite, ammonite, and other variations of iron ore with lower percent of iron. Now, hematite, ammonite have around 17 and 70% per weight of iron, so they're very economically viable to extract and create things like pig iron, which is what most of the iron ore is taken for, which is basically crude iron. About 98% of that is used as pig iron, and this is mainly used to make steel. Now, other products are used, but mainly steel. So in terms of all these different sectors of industry, the iron ore is extracted for economic use and for importing, exporting, and for the general economy. Now, these BIFs are located all around the world. So every continent has an amount of BIFs, this formation, and about 98 countries have an iron ore mine of some sort in various sizes. Now, obviously, there are certain countries that are huge in extracting and taking out iron ore from the ground. And globally, all the countries combined extracted about 2.5 billion tons of iron ore back in 2019. I'm sure it has gone up since then. Now, as you can see by this kind of very simple map, kind of drawn on some X's where these BIFs are located, the major areas of BIFs, or the Banded Iron Formations, and you can see that they are distributed across the world somewhat evenly. Now, there are some areas of the world that are sparse of these, or free of these areas, but the majority of these countries are located around the world. So there are certain countries that have more iron ore deposits than others, and the first one's Australia. Australia is the biggest iron ore extractor and exporter and producer of iron ore on the planet right now, by far, by a country mile, and 90% of this is in the western area of Australia, a province called Hamersley, and mostly hematite and the high grade iron. So this is a very large area for extracting iron. Next is India. India has certain areas, both by Goa and by Odisha, which has about 93% of its ore in these two locations, in the eastern location, and then from the Goa location, which is mostly malachite. So India is a large producer of iron ore. Then we've got Brazil. Brazil is famous for the largest iron ore mine in the world in Pará, which is the northern part of the region of Brazil, and these date back about 2.5 billion years, and these are concentrated around what's called the Iron Quadrangle. Most of the mines are in a certain area near the city of Belo Horizonte. Then we got Canada, Canadian iron ore. Again, some of it's around the Lake Superior area, which is also adjacent and bordering the USA. But a lot of it is in the Labrador Trough, which is in Quebec and Newfoundland. And this is a rift basin, a prehistoric rift basin with volcanic activity mixed in with sedimentary rock, and also part of the Grenville fracture zone. So this is an ancient Proterozoic eon rift zone which created this sedimentary rock and the mixture of the iron to create this large deposit, BIFs. Then we have Russia. Russia is obviously a huge country with a vast, diverse range of natural minerals and ores and resources at its disposal, namely natural gas, which is in the news recently, and they have certain areas that are high in iron ore, these BIFs, a lot around the Ukrainian border and a lot near Finland, and some in the Ural Mountains, and of course some in Siberia. So, and obviously some down by the Chinese border. So again, very large country. They have a large amount of iron ore. It is the 5th largest producer of iron ore. Now, China is, again, has, like Brazil or like with Canada, most of the iron ore mines are concentrated around the northern or northeast section of the country towards Mongolian border or the Russian border, and it's basically low-grade iron. It's not the highest grade iron. Parts of it metamorphosized, and they do have the largest demand and import of iron through their industrial processes and their demand for the raw material and steel, but they do only produce a small amount in the northern section. Then we get South Africa. Again, 2 areas along a kind of a diagonal parallel line where they have these 2 large deposits and basins where they find their BIFs in this country, and it's called the Transvaal Supergroup. And there's 2 basins. There's Transvaal Basin and the I mispronounced this, but the Griqualand West Basin is also the other area where it's concentrated. And this is a superior type. So a superior type is it was formed on these shallow continental shelves versus a different type, which is algoma type, which is basically formed on the ocean floor with hydrothermal vents. And finally, the great US of A. Now, US has tons of different iron ore mines located in the West Coast, in the Great Plains, and some on the East Coast, but most of it is concentrated around Lake Superior, the Great Lakes area of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Now, this also is where the Superior type BIF came from, and this was kind of formed in 1980, where a scientist kind of just devised this plan to split the BIFs into 2 types, which is algoma and superior. And Superior was named after Lake Superior, part of the USA, where they found this in 1848. So it's been around for a long time. There's 2 major basins or ranges that they find the iron ore. One is Mesabi and Markel range. Now there's other ranges that are inactive right now, but those are 2 main active sites, and these iron ore deposits date back between 2.5 to 1.8 billion years ago. And again, superior type, so ancient continental shelves. Now, there are other areas and other countries around the world that do have deposits of iron ore in these large banded iron formations, but I just went through the top 5 or 6 countries that have the largest extraction of iron ore on the planet. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like it, please subscribe and maybe hit the like button. If you like more on this content, please check out my channel, which has all these videos on Earth science.